happy Friday, y'all. Man, it's been a long week and a lot has changed since we last met on Draft Monday. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. We got to. And listen, I don't really care what the reasoning was behind trading Flau'jae on draft night. I don't know about y'all. I don't give a This might go down as the wildest decision I've ever seen on draft night. I'm not even going to hold y'all. And listen, the crazy part for me is that the Valkyries did not hesitate because they already knew exactly what the plan was and exactly what they were going to do. So, can we say premeditated draft? I mean, what we doing? Was Valkyries already in the conversation with Chicago prior to the draft? I mean, we knew they was in the conversation with Seattle clearly. So listen, let me talk about it. Let's talk about it. The elephant in the room. And listen, somebody left a comment on one of our posts, a scorching hot take about why the Sky possibly did not draft Flau'jae, and we're going to talk about that tonight. So my question to y'all is early. Did Chicago overthink this draft and by not selecting Flaw, or did they completely miss out on a golden opportunity to make some crazy headway? It's your girl Naja Lee. Welcome back to Her Court, Her Rules, the realest women's basketball breakdown on the net and the only place where hoops meet higher perspective. This is episode 82. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share, man. We on the road to 1,000 subscribers, man. So I appreciate all engagement on this channel. And as y'all already know, each and every episode is powered by Free Your Lens, the illest lifestyle brand on the map, empowering dope people like you to do dope things. Learn all about the movement at freeyourlens.com, man. Y'all, y'all know if y'all watch the draft with us together as a family, as a Her Core Her Rules family on Monday, the chat was going crazy. The chat was going crazy just about every pick after pick one. After AZ Fudd was drafted number one, which everybody in the world knew, we kept trying to figure out how to rationalize different possibilities. Maybe somebody else, maybe our, maybe. And obviously, they're the top four women in the draft were the top four women in the draft, right? That went without saying. But we knew who the number one was going to be months and months ago, right? When we did our draft selection mock show back in November, we talked about AZ Fudd then. We did the mock show a week before the draft. We talked about her being number one again. And then obviously on the night of, she was number one. Today's episode, we don't have to worry about breaking down the number one pick. That ain't what we got to do because we already knew that, right? We're going to start obviously with the decision made in the Chicago's management and how that started a ripple effect throughout the remainder of the draft. And of course, we got to recap some recent signings and acquisitions that happened this week. So, let's get into it. I told y'all I got this comment for y'all. So matter of fact, I'm gonna hit this comment up real quick. Hold on, let me pull this comment up. Okay, because y'all think I'm playing. I got the comment up right here. My boy Darius McNair. Shout out to Darius McNair. We always show love to the people who are in the live chat. We always show love to the people who leave great comments. And if you do engage with this channel, you might want to pull up on the live because we might talk about your specific hot take. Okay, so pull up on the live. You never know you'll be featured or not. Listen, Darius McNair says, after trading Angel Reese, the Sky were not going to take another outspoken black female figure, in my opinion. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, boy, because I don't think you're capping. I think you might be on to something. Let's talk about it. But first and foremost, what really went down, as y'all know, there's been a couple trades, a couple moves, and really what we have been conversing about are the recent signings and the recent movement outside of the draft, right? One of the biggest worries that we had was of the Liberty because they hadn't really made a bunch of significant moves. Um, I obviously on Monday we talked about the Satu acquisition. Shout out to Satu Sabli. We all know that she's going to be a great fit in New York. Definitely going to provide a lot of um, length on top of her being a unicorn, being able to score, a 3-level score and being able to defend at a high level. I think she's going to, give reduce some pressure and some workload off of Brianna Stewart. And she's a legend, she's a Hall of Famer, but Brie getting a little bit, she aging a little bit. So they got some reinforcements, but I thought this was cute. Let's go ahead and play this. Look at Brianna Stewart's kids.
Mommy, stay home. Mommy, stay home.
Okay, then listen, they meant that. Mommy staying home. Mommy is staying home. So let's talk about mommy and them. The New York Liberty, they re-signed Brianna Stewart, Jonquel Jones, and Sabrina. That's their big three, right? So they re-signed their big three, and obviously they have acquired some other pieces. Now there still needs to be some reinforcement in that point guard position, especially in recent years with Sabrina has been known to kind of be a little injury prone a little bit. Just respectfully, but it is what it is. Okay. And so they need to tighten up there. We don't know what if they're going to re-sign Cloud. To be honest, anybody asks me, I got my hand up. Call on me. Hey, Naj, it's on you. I don't think they should. I think they should go for a younger point guard. I love Cloud, but Cloud has a difficult time with scoring at times. So when you sub out Sabrina because she is 1/3, carrying that workload, Satu is going to assist with that. You still do need a point guard that can at least be a threat, at least a 3-point threat from scoring. T Cloud is phenomenal. She's a great all around player, and there are moments where her mid range is absolutely deadly. But as we all know, streaky offensively, not streaky as it goes with leadership, as it relates to her defense, as it relates to her energy. All that is always dialed in and on high, but when it comes to offense, T Cloud can kind of lag a little bit. So I think they still have a little bit of work to do, and that's okay. But I definitely still expect New York Liberty to be top 3 in the East. There are going to be some other teams that may argue with that, right? I think Mystics are saying, "Hold on, hold on, hold on. We at your door. Knock, knock. Who's that? The Mystics." So I think some things are going to be changing as far as who are the power players in the East. As we know, the Indiana Fever is definitely one of those teams, right? They have really shored up their team. That front office in Indiana, first of all, say what y'all want to say about whatever y'all want to say about. The front office in Indiana knows what they're doing, baby. If last year's playoffs didn't show y'all, this year's offseason definitely has. Shout out to y'all. Hold on, let's get to the comments already. Passing through Sports Talk Media, the family is pulling up to the reunion. Again, we do this every Monday and Wednesday at 6 p.m. So when y'all pull up, you again kick your shoes off, get comfortable, pull up into the live chat, right? All of your voices and opinions will always be heard and are valid. So shout out to you. Yes, what's going on? Peace and freedom, my brother. Shamika, welcome back. Welcome back to Her Core, Her Rules. Obviously, the family. DC is up. DC is up. DC is winning. And DC, listen, can DC be like the second best team in the East? They're young. But boy, do they scare the now. See, I just so happen love DC, right? DMV up, two down. So I just so happen love DC anyway. They have for the last, I would say, 3 years. Okay, so I've been a WNBA fan for a long time. So my love for DC go way Della Don go way back, right? But in recent years, I would say the last 3 years, because they've been drafting very well, right? I think that this year draft has really solidified them as being a definite threat, not just for making the playoffs. They could have made the playoffs last year if Brittany Sykes would have set her ass down. Okay, but she wanted to get on and go and chase a ring. See where that got you. Seattle, that whole team looked completely different. We're gonna talk about it on today's episode. However, DC has drafted completely well. They are pacing not just to make the playoffs, they are pacing to upset somebody in the playoffs. Don't let them be a bottom seed and they got to play Indiana or New York or Atlanta in that first round, or whomever. They could be playing. Minnesota ain't gonna make it. I'm trying to tell you. I don't think they're gonna do it anyway. But it could be anybody. DC is going to be a problem. Let's talk about this because I think you're right, Shamika. I think you're right. She says she thinks Taj T Cloud should come back to DC. I think so too. I think that since she's left, I think her career has been like this, man. I don't think she's really truly fit anywhere else but DC. She had a nice little stint in Phoenix, that 1 year, whatever, but it just ain't been the same. And I think what they're lacking on their roster is that veteran leadership. We talked about Alicia Clark, excuse me, just how she could be a leader, whether she's getting tick on that on the bench or not. And here it is, she's gone. Okay, so they need somebody that can come in, fulfill that mentorship role, right? And also just shore up that secondary ball handler, decision maker on that team. I think it would be too much to allow this youth to try to push them as far as a point guard position. We know all the point guards out there stand up, stand up. We know that the burden lies on you as a point guard. I don't care how good you are as a power forward or a center. Asia Wilson can be great. She can be a GOAT. She can be all this, that, and the third. If she doesn't have an equal running mate in a point guard, it's going to be not difficult, impossible. It's going to be impossible to make that championship thing happen, to make a run in the playoffs happen. And you also want a point guard with a little bit of experience, and it could be 3-4 year 5-year experience, but they don't really have it yet. So I think T Cloud, Shamika, you're on it already early in the episode. Bam, I think you're absolutely right. Okay, boom. So that happened on today. So we have Aaliyah Boston who re-signed. She has agreed to a 4-year. First of all, baby girls in the WNBA are getting their moolah. They're getting their chicken. They said, pay us what you owe us. Pay us what's due. AB agreed to a 4-year, $6.3 million contract extension with the Indiana Fever. Now tell me without telling me that she ain't the most valued player on that team. Now we know when Caitlin resigns, that might when Caitlin resign. Hold on, let me go. Let me get big on y'all. When Caitlin Clark resign her contract, that might very well be the first $10 million contract in the WNBA. And let me tell you something, I'm not gonna be mad at it. Okay, because everywhere she go, chickling, 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 money follows, right? So if there's going to be one person that's the highest paid in the W, one would think it should be somebody like Caitlin. Okay, but that being said, Indiana Fever, they have done very well with shoring up their hitters, right? Kelsey, AB. We know Caitlin, they're gonna take care of Caitlin in a couple years because she's she's still right. So boom. Also, Boston will earn $1 million this year, lower than the standard 1.19 million max she was eligible for. Let's highlight this. Choosing to take less money to help the Fever pay others on their roster. She will then earn 20% of the cap in each season moving forward through 2029. First of all, so she ain't taking less money. She just saying, y'all pay me back. Consider this an IOU. I'll take an IOU for 1,000, Alex. I absolutely will. So shout out to the moves that's been made. I think this is interesting here, which could go into why Minnesota went the way they did. Nafisa Collier signed a 1 year, $1.4 million supermax contract. 1 year, 1.4 supermax contract. Okay, we know Kelsey Plum signed a 1 year. There's a couple OGs that decide 1 years. Nafisa Collier is a different type of OG though, because she's always in the MVP running. So when the potential MVP, is only signing a 1 year contract, it sounds to me that either Minnesota is going to be retooling this roster next season, okay, or again, Nafisa is just buying her time to go ahead and sign a ridiculous, okay, contract the following season. So, you know, does we don't know. That being said, I think this is very good to highlight. Shout out to Odyssey Sims. Odyssey Sims signed as a free agent and agreed to a 1 year deal with Dallas Wings. Okay. Odyssey Sims is a very underrated guard. You know, she spent some time with Indiana last year, right? Odyssey Sims, I feel like, has gotten a bad break in the WNBA as it relates to finding a home and finding a place that just values her and wants to keep her on the team. Y'all know last year one of my terms was, y'all know I hate them 7-day bangers. I hate them 7-day contracts, them little temporary, I'm about to go donate plasma contracts. We don't get these ladies, the little 14 days try out, John. Like, what really are we doing here? So shout out to Odyssey Sims. She, at least we know she's going to be on one team this year. Okay. One team this year. Now, it doesn't mean that she can't be traded. Okay. However, she signed a 1 year deal. Listen, she was a former number 2 pick in 2014. I know that was a long time ago. That was 8 years ago. Today is today, but yesterday's price ain't today's price. But she should definitely be on the team. So shout out to her. Um, New York re-signed a couple key players from there. Hamilton, right? She missed last year. She was recovering from a knee injury. We know she would played a critical part or critical role in their championship run in 2024. We absolutely know that. So first of all, welcome back to the W. It's a great time to come back, okay? Especially when the money is high. Okay, they didn't do nothing last year anyway. The Liberty did, but disappoint New York fans. So this is a great time to come back, get your money, okay, and remind the people what we were missing. Shout out to her. Asia Wilson, we're going to talk about Asia Wilson. Asia Wilson signed a 3-year, $5 million contract to return to the Aces. We already knew that she was not going anywhere. She absolutely is Vegas. So that being said, since we are talking about Vegas, let's talk about Vegas. Welcome to Vegas. Welcome to Vegas. Welcome to Vegas. Brianna Turner, she was signed to Vegas. Former Indiana Fever, right? She played with the Indiana Fever last year. Didn't really, I don't think she really fit in with that team. She definitely will with the Aces. Okay, we need a better version of Kia Stokes, and this is what she is. And shout out to Kia Stokes, but boy, I was not sad to say goodbye. Okay, it was not hard to say goodbye. I did not cry, but shout out to her. So welcome home, Brianna Turner. It's gonna be a long ride back to the finals, but I believe in us. We're gonna get back there. Shout out to Stephanie Talbot again. We are locking in the depth that we need in that forward and center position all day long. We know every time you take Asia out, I don't care if it's 30 seconds, you sweating at the brow. What is going to happen because Asia is not in there? That means Chelsea and Jackie and Dana and Jewel, all guards, got to do all the work. So now we have some reinforcement here in the bigs position. I appreciate that. Y'all know we re-signed Cheyenne Parker Tyus. We re-signed Nalissa Smith. So we ready to, we got our track shoes on. Who meeting us at the finals? I got my black on. Who meeting us at the finals? Put something in the chat. Let me know. Hold on. My boy said, let me get to the comments. Fever should have re-signed Odyssey Sims. Now, see, that's the part I don't like. Fever should have re-signed Odyssey Sims for helping to carry them in last year's playoffs, but they don't be moving right. Now, that part I didn't like because I thought that she was exactly what they needed, exactly when they needed her. Okay, she was available, she was in shape. Yeah, she kind of ran high on the turnovers though, so maybe they didn't like that. But ain't Caitlin like a be leading the league in turnovers when she doing what she do? But from a business standpoint, when you're looking at diversifying your roster, you don't want two turnover heavy guards, especially when one guard may not be able to offset some of those turnovers with the scoring. But I did like her on that team. She was fast, she was quick. I liked Ari McDonald on that team. I don't know. But again, when you draft Raven Johnson, bink, I'm parting ways on everybody. Shout out to Odyssey Sims, but I'm gonna go ahead and put my money on Raven. Hold on. Shamika said, no shade to Kia Stokes. Be blessed, girl. That's all I got to say. What they do with what the kids do. That's all I got to say. So last but not least, but not last but not least, Miss Carter, if you nasty, welcome home. Welcome home. A young woman who should have never not been in the WNBA. I don't care what nobody say, attitude is, blah, blah, blah. Girl, if you a walking bucket, you always have a spot next to me. Always have a spot next to me if you a walking bucket like that. Y'all remember back when she was in high school giving WNBA players the blues? Okay, the blues in the USA game. The blues. Fits. No, everybody looking at her like, what is we doing? How can't nobody stop her? Because she really her. So training camp contract is just a funny little term for the Aces for saying, y'all wait on it. We gonna insert her right when she is needed most. So shout out to Miss Carter. Hold on. Welcome back, Robert. Welcome back, Rob. Rob says, seems like Dallas has too many guards now. It's one of the reasons why I said, Fudd makes sense on paper going to Dallas, but they already had a roster full of guards before they drafted her, right? And yeah, they grabbed a couple little bigs here, but okay, unless you playing four guards and one big, they gonna have a problem on their hands. Okay, unless they planning on running everybody, they might have a problem on their hands when it comes to defending. How are you gonna check teams that got two bigs and start two bigs? And both of them, Alana Smith is not enough. When I tell you I screamed when I found out she was back, screamed. I said, oh, let me get some hydration. Girl, I know y'all did not bring her to the best team. I know y'all did not swear for a slice of cheese. I know y'all not playing with me. First of all, you had the nerves to pair her with Miss Wilson. Hold on. You got the nerves to put her next to Chelsea Gray. How many dogs? We talking about real certified dogs now. How many dogs are on the Aces roster? We ain't talking about just in the starting five. We talking about roster. Okay. But with Vegas, automatic. I text my cousin because we both Aces fans, right? I text my cousin. I said, we might as well go. The chip, they can just mail us our championship tees now. Okay? Go ahead and put it in the mail. I'm ready. P.O. box it. I'm here. Okay? Now passing through. I know you gonna like this. I know passing through gonna like this because on Monday on the draft show, passing through said, you know what I'm saying, my girl Janiah Barker, man, I just thought that, you know what I'm saying, she would have been picked up. I don't know what they doing, how they letting her sleep. Well, the Aces heard you. Sleep where? Who? Thank you. I know you didn't pair Janiah Barker with Asia Wilson. Boy, they really playing with me. Are you okay? Okay, I know you didn't pair Jordan Obi with Jackie Young. You see what I'm saying? Welcome. All I got to say is welcome home. Welcome home. Welcome home. Y'all gonna look good in that Aces jersey. It's different when you playing with the MVP. It's also different when you playing with a finals MVP. When you playing with people who got multiple rings. How many rings? 2, 3, 4. You feel me? It's different. Chelsea Gray got 4 rings now. So your starting point guard got 4. Your center got 3, right? Hell, y'all know how I feel about Kirsten Bell. She got 3 rings. We going back. They said dynasty. Y'all remember again, we grew up to screw up. I grew up Comets, right? Dynasty. Sparks, dynasty. This is something different. Hold on. Lisa, welcome back. Welcome back to Her Core, Her Rules, Lisa. I ain't seen you in about a couple episodes, right? We was in the thick of things during the tournament, NCAA tournament. So shout out to you. Dallas has 6 or 7 bigs now. What y'all talking about? Let's go to the roster. Dallas roster. Okay, I see forwards. Costanza Verona, don't know who that is. Z Spearman, out of Tennessee, not familiar. Asia Petty, Ohio State. Amy Okongwo, okay. Awak Kier, I don't know who that is. Dulcie Minda Jed, I don't know, I'm not gonna mess that name up. Okay, so Miss Dulcie from South Florida. Are any of these forward names moving y'all? Then Lee Yaru. Lee Yaru is the only name that is moving me. I mean, I don't know some of these other names, but if I'm in a scouting report, I'm not moved. Are you moved? You might be moved, but I'm not. Looks like Vegas is so loaded now. Listen, and the thing about Vegas is that you already got. Hold on. She says Lee Yaru, Awak. Okay, I know she was just drafted. Kyla, or Odeker. Ager, right, from Texas. Okay, bet. Alana Smith, Raya Marshall, Jessica Shepard, Grace Sullivan, Maddie. Maddie not really. She not really. She I see what her position states, but she not really like when she play a certain team, she gonna be a small forward more than likely. She's not like that. So it looks like that they're why is because I knew Alana Smith was on their team. Why is their roster not updated on ESPN? Just to show y'all that I'm not bugging. This the roster. The roster that's on ESPN doesn't match what you and I knew of the Raya Marshall sign. They signed her before the draft, right? We knew of the Alana Smith. We knew of the Jessica Shepard. But again, y'all see this? Okay, Jessica Shepard, boom. So Jessica Shepard, I'll give you that. And she's a great scorer too. So boom, I'll give you that. Okay, here we go. Alana Smith, boom, I'll give you that. So I give you 2, I'll give you 3. I'll give you Lee Yaru, Alana Smith, Jessica Shepard. Them the 3 I'ma give you. A walk until I see her. Hope I'm saying her name right. Until I see her do what she need to do, I ain't giving you that. Maddie, I done seen her play and I done seen her get beasted on too many times for me to give you that as well. Yeah, so they got 3. Yeah, Lee Yaru don't play that much defense. Alana Smith plays all defense, no offense. And Jessica Shepard is like the perfect balance of a big, right? She can play good defense and play great offense as well. I think she's a better offensive player than defender. But one thing she can get in foul trouble, but that's okay. But thank you for putting that up because that your comment made me go to the roster. So boom, Vegas is cheating for real. Everyone else is just competing for second place. I mean, you're not lying. I don't know what Minnesota Lynx are doing now since they lost a lot of players. Talk about lost a lot of players. Matter of fact, let me pull up this article real quick. So I got an article loaded up already for y'all. It's talking about the Lynx, and it's also talking about the Storm. Two teams that lost players for one way or another, right? For the Lynx, I think that they didn't want to match the money asked of some players, right? So, they're trying to retool in the draft and kind of fill in those gaps. I don't know if it's going to work. We will, look at it. I'm gonna actually pull up this roster real quick. Hold on. For who we say? Minnesota. Let's pull up their roster real quick. Okay. Minnesota's roster. Amaya Battle, that's a guard. Okay. Emma, don't know who she is. Nia Coffey, we know her. Shout out to her. Nafisa Collier, duh. Antonia Della Ray, maybe. Aubrey Griffin. Aliska Hamzova. Natasha Howard, that was a great signing, I think. Although she's 34, she don't play like no old 34 person. She we know her from Indiana. She plays fast. She's a rim runner. She can shoot the three. Shout out to Natasha Howard. Dorka Juhaz, maybe. I don't know who she is, nor how to pronounce her name, but shout out to her. Miss King. Yeah, I don't know many of these people. Caleb McBride, we know that. Olivia Miles drafted. Shout out to Olivia Miles. We already saw. Have y'all seen her workout videos already with the Minnesota Lynx t-shirt on, getting her shots up, getting ready, getting her footwork, getting already in the mindset? Preseason start next week. What's today? Next week, preseason starts. That's crazy. Jalen Sherrod, we know her. We loved her in Colorado. Haven't really got to see her much in Minnesota. Maybe they are going to elevate her playing time. Now, she did play some real significant minutes in New York before she was traded here, but we're going to see. They have Lainey Wright, they have Sakima Walker, and obviously Courtney Williams. They also have Cameron Taylor. Just first this is not a winning roster to me. It is really not. To me. Y'all let me know if y'all feel otherwise. But Minnesota Lynx do not have a winning competitive roster to me. Now, when you pair the vets, when you have Courtney Williams, Kayla McBride, Nafisa, and then and then you insert Olivia Miles and her passing to this team. I guess it can be something, but it just don't look like nothing. Shout out to Miss D. Welcome back to her core, her rules. Peace and freedom to you. The family is here. The family is here. Jeremy, shout out to you. Peace and freedom to you. Yeah, so it's just not giving. Miss D said the Lynx look a little smaller. They do. I don't see. They lost their code DPOY. Now y'all know code DPOY. I'm gonna air quote that. But are they replacing Alana Smith? And one thing about her is that she can check multiple positions. If she get caught on the switch, they're not tripping. Oh, call on the switch, you got a guard. You on Enrique out there. Yeah, she fast. Yeah, she go. Yeah, she gonna try to hit you with the step back. But you can handle it. So I don't know. I have no ideas. I'm scratching my head. They have Cheryl Reeves there. Maybe she'll figure it out. Cheryl Reeves is the longest tenured WNBA coach. So if anybody can figure it out, Cheryl Reeves can. Jeremy says, if we're speaking about my Lynx, let me chime in, please. Of course. The floor is yours. Please chime in. Now, Jeremy was highly upset. Weren't you highly upset with the Olivia Miles draft? Again, we're going to get into this draft here shortly. I know you were upset because you was like, why in the MF did they not draft a big? That's what we need, right? Why would we go and get Olivia Miles? Now, Jeremy, since you here, let me know why you think they got Olivia Miles and not a big, especially when you had opportunities to get Lauren Betts and and or obviously or our fam. Why didn't you? So please let me know. Shamika said Olivia Miles is elite. You won't regret it. Ms. D says Olivia is okay, but Betts would have fit as well. I think when you no longer have your DPOY, you got to go get a big that defends like their life depends on it, right? And although Lauren Betts can be a very much so threat in that paint as it relates to her scoring, as it relates to her passing ability, but defense wins games. And Shamika says, Olivia Miles is elite. You won't regret it. I think actually they will regret it eventually. Now that doesn't mean that I think Olivia won't be great. I think she will. Right. I think Olivia could have went into the draft last year. Right. We know that she's stayed an extra year. Wanted to see what she can do with TCU. Maybe make a Final Four run for Elite Eight run, something like that. But is it worth it? Can you work it? I mean, that's all I'm trying to say. Yes, I really thought Minnesota Lynx was going to draft Betts. I mean, I thought the writing was so clear on the wall that it only made sense. Olivia's defense is suspect. Very much so. And so when this league that's faster than college, that has more skilled scorers from 1 through 3, maybe she defensively she might get exposed. But listen, Caitlin is on defense too. So if you can offset your defense with high octane offense, assists, and scoring ability, maybe we're looking at, I don't want to say a Caitlin 2.0 because that 3-point is completely different. But as far as is how she can be a little weak in the area, but everybody kind of overlooks it and acts like it's not a thing because she's so amazing when it comes to creating shots for others and getting her own shot. Cheryl was looking for the best player left, and she felt Olivia was the best. I wanted us to get a big because of losing Alana Smith, but Olivia got chosen, and she will be our general for the future. Underline that, for the future, because I think especially when you have Nafisa signing a 1 year, I think they plan for, okay, we probably are going to be excuse me, we probably are not going to make the playoffs, maybe. Even if we do, we might be a 7 seed, 8 seed. That being said, more than likely we're still going to have a pretty decent draft pick, 6, 7, 8, 9, definitely a top 10 draft pick. Might even have 2 top 10 draft picks next year. I don't know, because the Minnesota be making crazy trades. They might trade off somebody mid-season to acquire more draft picks just to make sure that next season they not gonna be trash. So we gonna see. We're gonna have to find out. Cheryl is serious about Olivia stepping up her defense. First conversation they had, she talked about her lack of defense. And let me tell you something. Not only is Cheryl, them guards on that team, Courtney Williams, they not gonna let you. Nafisa Collier, again, Nafisa Collier got DPOIs too. So they're not gonna just let you slack just because you're good. Other teams may. This team won't. Definitely not that coach. So I'm glad you made that point. Great point. Minnesota, I think we are in a retool, and I trust Cheryl. I have to see it, but I think we will be all right. Now, this season, we are in contention for a title this year. I still have us making the playoffs. I think y'all making the playoffs, but title, y'all not gonna sniff that out. Last year was your best year to do it, and because of the injury to Nafisa, Oz was out. Maybe Court will help her with her defense. She gonna have to. Be a part of the stud buzz. Do the stud buzz look different now? We got another member in the stud bud. Okay, one gone, one is here. So it's gonna have to be Courtney and Olivia. That's they gotta be as thick as thieves this year. We are not in contention for a championship like we were 2 years ago, but Cheryl can make a trade during the mid-season. This is a chance for a young player to get better and help. And I think actually that's what Minnesota is going to do. I think they're definitely going to make some trades mid-season trade, and I think it's going to be a significant one. So I wouldn't be surprised. I actually at this point would expect it to happen. Okay. Now, before we get into the topic that I want to talk about, is there any other trades, right, or any other draft picks that is forcing y'all to relook at that roster and kind of assess it in a different light? Okay. Because there was a lot of decisions made on draft night that impacted the roster in itself, that either made this team, oh, they are now a contender for a playoff run, or they still same old big head. You know what I'm saying? Ray just ain't gonna get better. I guess it is what it is. So what y'all thinking? Y'all let me know, and then we gonna get into my point, because I think that it is some interesting stuff that went down. I'm gonna pull up the draft board real quick. Boom. As we know, AZ Fudge, shout out to her, went number one. No, not a surprise. Not a surprise. Olivia Miles, we just talked about her in Minnesota, what that does, how that impacts that team, and maybe what their thought process is moving forward. Rob says, I didn't like Raven going to Indiana. I don't like that. I don't like that. Okay, Raven definitely went to Indiana, right? I actually knew that. I knew that's exactly what was gonna happen. You know why I knew that? Because Kaylin is never gonna be playing no defense like that. She's never gonna commit to that end of the court. So you have to get somebody who fully commits to it and is not a person who's gonna turn the ball over a lot. There were moments where, like we talked earlier, Odyssey Sims will commit to defense, but sometimes she'll get beat, she'll get a little loose, and she definitely get loose with a ball. Ari McDonald will commit to the defense, but she ain't the same type of defender as a Raven Johnson. So I said on the last stream on Monday that Raven is definitely an upgrade to Ari McDonald. Somebody was on my comment saying, you're delusional. Raven is not an upgrade to Ari McDonald. I said, since when? Because Ari McDonald was sitting on the couch like us last season, waiting on the phone call for them to call us. She was on the couch. She wasn't signed to a team. She was waived from a team released, sitting on the couch and was available, right? Raven she won't have those problems. She won't have those problems. Court, let's go back to this comments. Court says, Ms. D says, Court is a baby stud bud. You mean Olivia Miles is a baby stud bud? Awalk is one of the top bigs in 2025-26 Euro League. Dallas drafted her number 2 a couple years ago at like 19, 20 years old. She went back overseas probably for moolah. She averaged 12.8 points, 7.8 rebounds, 1.6 blocks, 1.9 assists, and 65%. She's a mobile big. Okay, I can't wait to see it. I'm interested to see, if her game will translate here. What we do know about the WNBA is this is where the best competition exists. Shout out to the Euro League and shout out to the other countries respectfully. This ain't no shade. And I'm not like, being extra patriotic here when I say, WNBA best league as it relates to women's basketball. That being said, hopefully what you're saying is true and her game translates in the WNBA, right? Because what we do know is that they're not playing against the Asias. They're not. They're not playing against the Jonquel Jones. They're not, right? They're playing against somebody over there. And shout out to those somebodies and those ladies, those gals. Nice dresses, nice gowns. Shout out to Aretha Franklin. Rest in peace. That being said, I hope you're right and that game translate and she is exactly the player that you say she is. Raven going to Indiana was the best pickup for the team and Clark. Raven is going to force Clark to get better and start playing off the ball. Raven is a winner and she's going to take that spot. I believe so. I think that it definitely benefits Clark as far as being her backup, being her defensive support. But also the major benefit is how she's going to rub off on Raven's offensive game because it's okay. You know what I mean? It's not you know what I mean? It's okay. Okay, so that being said, I think both players are going to thrive. I don't like it. I don't like it, but both players are going to thrive. The reason I didn't like Raven going there is because they had already picked up Ty Harris. And that's true, but Ty Harris be injury prone. When last time you see her ball? Year and a half? Definitely a full season. One thing about Raven, she's available every season. Now, granted, this is twice. Well, I guess 10 more games than. Well, actually, when you think about the tournament, because it's 30 games in a regular season, the NCAA plus tournament. So one would say that the WNBA season is just as long. The regular season is the same length as regular season college plus March Madness. And Raven has gone all the way. She's been in the finals every year of her collegiate career. So she knows how to play 40 plus games. Now, do you know how to play 55 plus games, right? Because you still got to play playoffs, here in the W, 44 games, and then you got your playoff game. So you got to be ready for at least 50 games a season. And I think Raven is the type of person that could do that. I think that Ty Harris might not get as much tick as we think. Yeah, I meant Olivia. Yes, I know what you mean. So Olivia is definitely a little baby stud, but and boy, we gonna see Courtney just take her on under her wings. Come on, she gonna nudge her in the head, right? The rookie pranks, she gonna do all of that. But as long as don't nobody dye their hair pink, because I thought that was kind of lame, dressing alike and getting them little cheesy stud bud chains, them little Walmart middle of the mall chains. Don't do that, okay? Don't do that. That's corny as hell to me. Pause on the corniness this year, okay? Jeremy says Stephanie White will not be hesitant to give that spot to Raven because it's exactly what she wants in a defensive guard. Clark better change her game or they will change her to a 2 guard. Now, Clark don't like that. She want that ball in her hand. She wants to be the dictator on offense. She wants she wants to delegate. I'm not completely mad at that. But I think Clark is a much better scorer than potentially a passer. And she led the league in assists. So we going to see. I don't think she Clark and Stephanie was button heads when Stephanie White was trying to make Caitlin Clark play off the ball. So I think Stephanie is going to ease up on that idea just a tad, but that's only if the backup guards between Ty and Raven don't show up to the party, which I have no doubt that either one of them won't. I think they both will, and I think they're going to contribute greatly to this team. WNBA, NWSL, and NCAA are the best leagues when it comes to women's sports. Period. Point blank. Bink. You know what I'm saying? You heard it here first. You feel me? So I think that this draft pick, yeah, many of us might not have liked it, for whatever, personal reasons or just like you said, Ty Harris is already there. And our South Carolina Gamecocks, we didn't want to see another Gamecock over there in Indiana, but you got Raven and AB back together. That's gonna be cute. Indiana does a great job with their social media, especially their YouTube page. They put a lot of media out there to get their fans and get the people engaged. So I think this year is going to be a great year from a media standpoint and just from a player personnel and a development standpoint on that team. Shout out to them. We can get into the Mystics again. The Mystics roster is incredible. Tell me they didn't do what they were supposed to do for this draft. Tell me that now 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row. Last year they got Kiki and Sonya. You mean to tell me last year they got Kiki and Sonya in the same draft? Got Georgia Amore in the same draft too, but she couldn't play, right? So now this year you got Georgia Amore, right? So you could just call her a draft pick, this year's draft pick, because we didn't get to see her last year. So you got Georgia Amore this year, Lauren Betts, Angela Douglajic. I think keep on saying I feel like I always say her name wrong, so I apologize. Rory Harmon. What are y'all? Okay, whatever. Cody McMahon. Are y'all? Am I tripping? Cassandra Prosper. Okay, what's happening here? They went to work in that draft. Went to work in that draft. Listen, I don't know if it's just me, and I hate to not, you know, drink the Kool-Aid, but the Mystics did they motherfucking job. They did their job, dog. They did their job. This roster looks better than New York Liberty's roster. Now, New York Liberty's rosters has champions on there, right? But Alicia Clark is a champion. Didn't she? But didn't she just get moved on? Signs. I thought she just signed with who did she just sign with? Oh yeah, she signed to Dallas Wings, right? So yeah, Alicia Clark is no longer with them. Um, she signed a 1-year deal to. I knew I wasn't tripping. She signed a 1-year deal to go to the Dallas Wings. So, you know, this roster though, what can we complain about? They have size and height. They have size and strength. Okay. They have guards for days. They have a right now point guard that they could plug in right now in Rory Harmon. They have a scoring point guard in Georgia Amore, right? They still have Sonya. They still have Shakira. They still have Kiki. Okay. Um, I think the Mystics made an A+ with their draft. Absolutely. And not the and this is 2 years in a row. This is 2 years in a row. Right? And we know their coach Sydney, he don't play no games. He run a tight ship over there. You as a young player, you want to be with a coach that not only understands my game and understands the game of basketball, but requires requires a regimen that requires you to show up a certain way every game, right? Kiki played the same way every game. Sonya played the same way every game. Suge played the same way every game. Yeah, they jumper might not have failed some games, but the energy, the intensity, the attention to detail, they were always playing with heart, always playing like they gave up, and always played like they loved the game of basketball. And that's hard to get across to young players, especially new players, especially players that are playing in adverse situations, right? And speaking of adverse situations, y'all know, I hope this year they get a better camera crew, because they got them little cameras that just stick and move and don't really do that move. As if I feel like I'm a fly on the wall in nosebleed stands when I'm watching the Mystics game. They gotta tighten that up. Okay. Shamika said the Mystics killed it this year. Absolutely. Leach. Okay. Thank you. Shout out to the phonetics. Shout out to the phonetics. Angela Leach. Shout out to Brian. Welcome to her rules. Listen, y'all know I ain't perfect. Please help me. Help me so I don't make a buffoon of myself. I do it every other episode when I try to pronounce a name that I don't know how to pronounce, but shout out to y'all. My guess is the Mystics roster has 3 All-Stars, maybe 4. Okay, because listen, last year the conversation it really wasn't a conversation. Paige was instantly etched in as rookie of the year before she even bounced the basketball last year. But what we know is that the rookie of the year race last year was a lot closer than the people made it seem. Sonya Citron was actually one of those. Now, Paige, when she is top 5 and 3 or 4 statistics, points and assists and steals, and so stats, you can lean into a stat and make make an easy case for Paige. But when you watch the game of basketball, that case ain't that easy to be made, because when you watch Sonya Citron, baby, I was like, do we not have another rookie of the year candidate right here on top of she's on a team with another potential rookie of the year in Kiki? Shamika said, shout out to the Finagers. You okay. Okay. Shout out to y'all. Tessa Love, Tessa Love, Tessa Love. Welcome back to Her Core, Her Rules. VIP, the family is here and pulling up and showing love. Forget bringing a plate to the reunion. She said, I brought a whole pan of food. Shout out to y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back. Make sure y'all do what she said. Hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe, man. We on the road to 1,000 subscribers, man. We running. We running. We running. We gonna get there. We gonna get there. We gonna get there. This WNBA season, we gonna get there. So shout out to y'all. I appreciate everybody for pulling up, showing love, and most importantly, I appreciate y'all for pulling up and being active in this chat, man. Get active in the chat, man. Again, all opinions and viewpoints are absolutely valid over here. Okay. I got my teams and I got my faves, but I don't let my biasness, override what your thoughts are. So I appreciate y'all. Listen, I think the Mystics are going to do very, very well this year. I think they're going to easily make the playoffs. Now we're just talking about at what point. Are they a 6th seed? Are they a 7th seed? Could they even push to be a 4th seed? Okay. They don't have a lot of veteran leadership on this team. I don't think they're done though. I don't think they're done. So let's talk about it. We gonna see. We gonna see. Any other team that you thought that absolutely won this this draft? Any other team that y'all think that absolutely won this draft? Y'all let me know. Y'all let me know. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and put these teams back up there. Hold on. So here the squads right here. Here the squads right here. Atlanta, they drafted well, I think. Chicago, we don't talk about them in a minute. Connecticut, Connecticut is a big question mark for me. I don't know. Indiana Fever, I think they drafted well. New York Liberty, they ain't really had no picks for real, so we ain't got nothing to worry about there. Toronto, you couldn't really lose in a Toronto draft when you're an expansion team. I think whatever you pick would have been all right with me. The Mystics absolutely won. Okay, Dallas, of course they won. Number 1 draft pick. Hello, Golden State. Oh, we're gonna talk about that. Aces. I think they won as well with getting the steals that they got in Janiyah Parker and Obi. So I think they did well. Shout out to Aces. I didn't think they were going to do much of anything, but again, there were so many people in this draft, first, second, and third round. So many teams and so many great eligible players. I told y'all before, I think this year's draft was the best draft we've seen in the last decade, if not since the inaugural season. For real, for real. I mean, of the WNBA. This draft was loaded. Lynx, I know it's a question mark on them right now. Did they draft well? Who knows? Phoenix, Portland Fire, expansion team, they couldn't go wrong, and Seattle Storm. So we're going to talk about it. This might be the most controversial move of the draft. Go ahead and put your raw thoughts in right now because I got something to say. Put them in right now. Brian said Mystics nailed it. Just a matter of time, experience, and chemistry. Such a young team, so their time might not be now. But if they stay healthy, watch out a year or two from now. I think their time is definitely in a year or two. And I think this year they're going to shock some people when they make the playoffs and potentially may upset people. Again, the Indiana Fever last year without Caitlin Clark knocked out Atlanta. Anything can happen. And if the Mystics are placed in the same exact position the way Indiana Fever were last year, and those, you only got to win 2 games in that first round. Okay? 3, 5, 7. You only got to win the 2 games. Okay. We're going to see. I'm sorry, 5, 5, 7. So you only got to win 3 games. And they knocked out Atlanta. And Atlanta, they had all their pieces. They had Canada, right? They had Ryan, they had Alicia Gray, they had Brianna Jones, they had BG, they had Pow Pow, still got waxed. So we're gonna talk about it. But again, this might be the most controversial move in the draft. Okay. We know how this went down. Let me pull the draft back up. Let me pull the draft back up. We know how this went down. We were in the chat. We were in the chat. And the chat was like, okay, we were counting it down. We had to tick her up. We said, okay, Lauren bets. There's 2 minutes left. What they're going to do. What is Washington going to do? They draft Lauren. Boom. Okay, so we're ready. We're gearing up. Now we're talking about the 5th round draft pick because we knew the 1 through 4 went how it was going to go, how most of us assumed it would go. Whether we thought Minnesota was going to draft a big or they were going to get Olivia Miles. We knew the top 4 players were AZ, Miles, Our Fam, and Betts. In whatever order you wanted to put them in, we know that was the top 4 players. I assume that absolutely the 5th best player in this draft is Flau'jae, right? Now, Chicago shocked the world. Again, they shocked the world when they drafted Gabriella. And what happened there was a complete domino effect. So, again, let's go back to the draft. What happened was a complete domino effect. When they went with Gabriella, again, for whatever reason, they chose to go. Darius McNair said after trading Angela Reese, the Sky were not going to take another outspoken black female figure, in my opinion. That's what he said. Maybe Chicago was thinking that. Okay. Maybe they were thinking that. I don't know. But what I do know is this: I wasn't ready for it. I was not ready for it. I didn't know what they draft. I didn't know what they draft her and later traded her to Seattle. So again, it was breaking news to me. Shout out to passing through Sports Talk Media. We in the live, we chatting, we watching the draft. Da 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 da. He said, "Yo, they just traded Flau'jae." What you mean trade Flau'jae? Hold on, breaking news, trade Flau'jae. What is happening here? I'm confused. What you mean trade Flau'jae? He said this what I mean. This is what just happened. Chicago drafts Gabriella Hawkins in 5th, right? And shout out to Gabriella. She had an incredible run this tournament. She had an incredible season. She did her DAMN thing against South Carolina with her 20 points and her 10 rebounds. She had a near triple double, right? Great game, showed up and showed out. The Valkyries draft Flau'jae 8th. Okay. So first and foremost, when you're looking at the top 10 players in the draft, never did I think that Flaw was going to drop to 8. People, we had somebody in the chat. Let me know if it was you, because I can't remember who said this, but I think this is some humiliation type, John. Like they did with Shedeur Sanders for the Browns. Now y'all know Browns gang, unofficially Browns gang. I'm from Cleveland, but it is what it is. So I'm like, is that what's happening here? What we did understand is this: 3 different teams were involved in this trade. You have Chicago, who didn't draft Flau'jae 5th, when I thought we talking about writing on the wall. You have Valkyries, who draft Flau'jae 8th seed, right? And then you have Seattle, who is not even in the conversation at this point because they draft Marta Suarez 1st pick, 2nd round. So what happened? 3 different teams, 3 completely different directions. Lisa says, Emma Meesman, Ileana Ruppert, Kayla McBride, Julie Alamon, Monique Billings, blah, 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 blah. Who's all these people? I know who they all are, but Bridget Carlton, Maureen Johannes, Julie Van Loo, Kennedy Burke, Lee Yaru, da, 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 da. Okay, why are you telling me all this? Plus, a lot of WNBA players all play in the EuroLeague, so Awak has been playing against WNBA players. It will not be new to her. No. Oh, so you make a great point. So I'm not going to take that from you. Absolutely. There are a lot of players who play in EuroLeague, a lot of players who, are international players that are in this league, but it's different when you play EuroLeague and and then the WNBA. The physicality is different, the refereeing is different, everything is different. So to your point, the player names may be the same, but the league is different. It was agreed upon before the draft. Here we go. Shout out to Kevin. Welcome to Her Core Her Rules. It was agreed upon before the draft. Seattle wanted to move up to pick up another impact player. And when they saw Big Four was available at 8, they didn't hesitate to tell Golden State to make that pick, right? Make the pick. Make the pick. Then Golden State told Seattle to draft Suarez at 16. Listen, I ain't GSW, GSV, it's all the same. Golden State, Golden State, Golden State, right? We got the Warriors, got the Valks, you know what I'm saying? It's all the same. So I'm with you. And yes, you're right. Stewie is overseas right now. Shout out to them. Okay. So yes, it went down. I think yes, premeditated. Three different teams, three different ideas, three different philosophies about how they want to build their team, what pieces they need, and obviously these three different teams are going in completely different directions. So let's talk about it and let's break it down. Seattle. Okay, did they get their player? First and foremost, is Flau'jae a great fit or even a good fit in Seattle? Well, let's talk about it. Senior year Flau'jae, she averaged 14 points, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists, shooting 46% from the field, 39% from 3, 1.3 steals, and terrible at the line. So we ain't even gonna talk about that. That's that. Okay. What she is though, outside of stats, she is physical. That's one thing about Flau'jae that I love. You not gonna run through her. You gonna have to move. You gonna have to run around her. You can't move her. She ready to bang. She ready to bang. And did I say she's ready to bang? Right? She's cut up. She's strong. She don't back down. Right? Shout out to Flau'jae. She has a scoring upside, and to me, she is a great scorer, but she has a lot of room to improve on. She's not capped at what she can do scoring wise. That's a beautiful thing to see in a young player because sometimes they are who they are. But in Flau'jae's case, I think she can become a better catch and shoot player quicker. She can become quicker at the trigger. I think she can improve on her footwork. I think she can improve on her counter moves. Her first moves are great. Jab, stab, boom, going. She moving. She doesn't hesitate. But I think that now she can insert a little patience, okay, and insert some counter moves, right? Grab it, jab, stab. Oh, put them on your hip. Okay, work it around. Pass it back out. Relocate. Run. Get back the ball, right? So I think that she has an upside to her game that, unfortunately, because she was an LSU Tiger, and forgive me for y'all LSU fans, but what we do know about Kim Mulkey is that she don't develop a lot. I think that if she would have spent her career 4 years under somebody else, potentially, she would be a better player right now. But she's a great player. So there's that. She's a two-way energy player. Energy can't be taught. Energy is something that's already in you. I feel like the way Flaw can excite her team, right? Just by, again, we saw in the tournament, diving for balls, leaping over the commentator's desk, putting the floor up, yelling at the crowd. These are things that can not only turn your team up, but listen, in Seattle, where that state is known for loving basketball and women's basketball, when you have somebody like Flau'jae that can turn up the crowd too, baby, that baby boy, it's going down. It's going down in Seattle. And also, they got the Sue Bird uh statue out there, right? So if I'm Flau'jae, right, I'm playing in one of the greatest cities in the world, in the nation for sure, but one of the greatest basketball cities in the world. It says a lot, okay, for you to be walking on the same court in the same arena, walking past a Sue Bird statue, being able to borrow her ear. Come on, man. What? Just that alone. Imagine, let's think about it critically. Imagine the conversations that will be had, the mentorship that will be had between Sue Bird and Flau'jae. That right there is going to elevate her game. That alone. Now, the thing about Seattle Storm is that, again, they lost a lot this season. Um and I think what they lost, they are starting to regain. But I think what they have rinsed, when they rinsed it out, hung it up to dry, is their culture. I think their culture has started to slip over the last few seasons, especially when you had Jewel Lloyd exit. She said some things on her exit. Then there was the Skylar Diggins, and there was the back and forth, and there was the commotion, and there was locker room, and there was coaching, and it was so much, you know, alluded. The perception of toxicity in Seattle was glaring. That being said, I think there's a refresh in the culture, right? So they lost a lot, but they gained that much more. Hold on. Golden State Valkyries used Flaw as a trade piece to get the player they wanted. They absolutely did, and they obviously wanted Marta. Now, here's the thing: I think Marta is going to be a great fit with them anyway. So, I think both teams did what they were supposed to do. My question is that did Chicago fumble the bag? That's my question. It's not that Seattle didn't capitalize and Golden State didn't capitalize, but did Chicago fumble the bag? Great fit. She would get more playing time, and she would want to be a part of a young core. Yes, they're definitely rebuilding, retooling, and to know that, like Kevin says, Seattle already loves her. To know that you were already being welcomed with open arms, right? Being welcomed with so much optimism and so much hope and so much love, right? Because Flau'jae wear her heart on her sleeve, right? And so we love to see it. I think they drafted not only a player archetype that they can continue to build, mold, and develop, but they drafted identity, right? Not just with Flaw, but they drafted identity with our fam too. So um I think this is going to be a good year for the Seattle. I don't think they're going to win a lot, but I think it's going to be a good year. Lisa says Flaw has a better chance for a spot in Seattle than Golden State. Yeah, she was going to be riding that pine and Golden State. It is what it is. Because where you going to get your minutes at? Storm has a very young team with Awa and Dom, so she will have time to develop room and grow. Flaw, Dom, Awa, I love the trade. I love the trade too. I have no complaints with the trade. Absolutely none. Sonya Raymond or Ramon is also supposed to be a good developmental coach. I'm not familiar with her. Let me figure out who she is. Coach. Okay, who she is? Who is she? Where is she from? Head coach Seattle Storm. Yeah, okay, we know who that is, but she was the head coach of MIT's Engineers women's basketball team. Hold on, MIT. That's smart. That's some real high level right there. So MIT, they had a basketball team. That's crazy. I guess they was in the Ivy League, maybe. And she has the most wins in that team history. Greats. That's going to be very interesting. She looks like one of my aunts, which is crazy, who passed away. So that's very, very freaky. But I love it. You look like one of my aunts that passed away. You good. You good. You good with me. What's up, Stephen Love? Hey, everybody. Peace and freedom. Again, if I did not hit y'all with the peace and freedom greeting on the way in, my bad. Let me rewind. Peace and freedom, everybody, to everybody who's in the live chat. At the end of the day, we are all basketball fans, but we are all human beings, and I want everybody to be good. Whether you in the live chat with me, you pulling up on a replay, peace and freedom to everybody. Because have y'all looked at the news? Don't we need that? Absolutely. Taina Mayer with her defense and high motor, boy. Yo, let's pull up the Seattle Storm's roster. Again, it's some people on this roster that I don't foresee them remaining on this roster. We shall see. But before I get into that roster real quick, the last time the Seattle Storm played basketball, they lost 74-73 to the Aces in the opening round of the playoffs. The entire starting lineup they had in game 3 is now gone, except for Ezzy. That's it. Okay? Hear me. The entire starting lineup, so 4 out of 5, they're gone. NECA returned to the Sparks. Skylar Diggins joined the Sky. Gabby Williams signed a multi-year deal with Golden State Valkyries. That's a good look for them as well. And Brittany Sykes is in Toronto. Okay. That's way too much change to create a successful environment off the back. Okay. They still have Magnabor, who signed a 3-year deal that totals $3.75 million. The Storm also have a top prospect in Dominique Malunga. We know that she has definitely evolved her game. If y'all saw her in Unrivaled, she was dunking and doing things. Shout out to her. The Storm also have a top prospect. They just drafted in our fan with the number 3 pick before trading Flau'jae for Flau'jae. So again, the future is absolutely bright with Seattle. And just like y'all said, this fit works. Transition offense, check. Okay. Plays defense with toughness, plays with the edge, check. Can be immediate impact on this team. Check. Tens across the board. Flau'jae fits so well in this system, this rebuilt system. It's going to look, listen, it ain't going to be smooth, y'all. It's going to be kinky. Okay. It's going to be wobbly. There's going to be some peaks and valleys. It's going to kind of look like the Mystics last year, I would say, right? Where, they were fighting, but the youth prevailed, and at a certain point you knew that they just ain't got enough experience to really make no real significant noise. However, I think it's going to be a fun time to watch Seattle basketball again. Last year it was too slow. Their offense was too slow. Now we're going to have some feistiness. We're going to have some pace. We're going to have some entertaining basketball. I love it. Hold on. Lisa says, yeah, I heard that. I think Seattle is a great fit for her. For most people were thinking Golden State Valkyries for her rap career, but this is about basketball, and I think the team fits Flau'jae better. See, here's the thing. When she got drafted to Golden State, I said, oh, her being in Cali is going to really make her brand stand out. I was unsure. I'm like, okay, it could work. It's good. Is it good? Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's good because you got Flaw and she's a great player, but based on what we've seen and how we've seen them play, and based on how they trust their international players with Golden State, I just didn't know where she would really truly get playing time. I mean, they bringing most of the hitters back, so this works. This works for me as a Flau'jae fan, but this also works, great. It bodes well for both teams and both players. Flaw will have the Space Needle music video dropping in the off season. Flaw, they gonna be playing her soundtrack for the game. Just play my music. Just play my music. Now she need to make some more. Y'all don't want to say no gangsters, but last year they was playing a whole lot of Glorilla. Let her cook. So she need to kind of make some more. Like when you getting ready to, you want to have something that's got you right. I don't want no love song. Okay, I don't need you singing to me, Flau'jae. Respectfully, don't sing to me. Before the game, I need that bounce. Right, I don't need R&B. I mean, Flaw will still be able to continue her rap career in the off season, which is how she has been doing it at LSU. Anyways, yeah, I think and I think she'll be able to absolutely balance everything that she wants to do, similar to all the other great WNBA players who do other things, right? One of the most prominent women of this generation is Angel Reese, right? Who does a little bit of everything. She podcasting, she walking the Victoria's Secret, she got the angel wings, right? She flying over to Australia, she dropping tennis shoes, right? She just teamed up with Lauren Betts for the Reebok collab. So, Flau'jae, and for the remainder of this newer generation who really has zoomed in on personal brand and zoomed in on, again, having a diversified portfolio, zoomed in on understanding that my name is my name, and baby, you gonna have to pay me. Okay. So I think, again, it is basketball, but it's also business, and I think Flaw is flawless. There we go. She is a Seattle type of player, and she's gonna fit this redefined culture under this new leadership, under this new coaching. Glad they got Noel out of there. Um, I thought they would have made that move last year when Jewel Lloyd blows out of there. Like, I got to get that. Should have been a writing on the wall when NECA kept trying to rationalize and kept trying to kumbaya and said, no, the locker room is good. Everybody's tight. This, that, and the third. It ain't tight. If you got to come out and say that everybody is friends and everybody's cool and there's no drama, then there's drama. If you got to say without saying it, then you saying it without saying it. Here we go. Now, Chicago, my main question for them is, but what is Chicago doing? Now, the signings that they've made were cool. I like the signings. I like Rakia. I like Skylar Dickens. But only the Sky could pull off a great heist by turning Atkins into Rakia Jackson, then simultaneously trading away their franchise superstar Angel Reese for pennies on the dollar. These are not my words. This is an MSN article. Okay, it was obvious that Angel Reese had to leave. Now, we knew that last year. I did an episode called Free Angel Till It's Backwards. Now she free. The relationship between her and the Sky was so fractured at the end of the season that her return was unrealistic. We knew she wasn't coming back. Okay. Even though she said she intends on, playing this season out in Chicago, girl, we knew that, you got to say what you got to say for publicity's sake, but we already know the tea. Okay. She was honest, fair, but critical of the state of the team when she spoke out about the Chicago franchise, when she talked to the Chicago Tribune. Again, she said, I am very vocal about what we need and what I want. I like to be here for my career, but if things don't pan out, obviously I might have to move in a different direction. End quote. So she had to go, but not for a single promising player in return. That's what they said. That's what they said. Now, in this case, they're thinking in their mind, I'm sure if I'm Chicago and kind of silly like that, I'm thinking in my mind, so I moved on from Angel. I got some picks, but essentially, I guess I got Gabriella instead, right? Maybe is that what they're thinking? Is that what they're thinking? Kevin said exactly. They struggle to have an identity. They passed. I think they passed because of the vets and how they might get along. Hmm. 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 So they passed on Flau'jae. They drafted Gabriella Hawkins, and everybody is speculating about the why, the why, the why. Because Gabriella Hawkins, as great as she is not, and I'll die on the hill for this. She is not the fifth best player in that draft. Not die on the hill for that. But is she good? Absolutely. She'll run circles around me, but dang, ain't saying much. But listen, she is good. But I'm gonna ask y'all: is she a safe pick, or was this selection a mistake? Now, in my opinion, I think it's a little bit of both. I think she is a safe pick. I think that when you draft somebody who is multi-skilled like her, low ego, doesn't demand much, is gonna get in where I fit in, baby. I'm just gonna, and whatever the function is, I'm gonna come and bring some coleslaw. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be good. I'm gonna put my foot in it. That's Gabriella Hawkins. Like, she's gonna definitely bring a plate. She's gonna bring a side dish, and it's gonna be good, right? She's going to carry her weight, whether that's check one of the best guards out there, whether that's okay, we need somebody who can be a 3-point threat, we need a 3-and-D girl, we need somebody coming off the bench, being maybe a 6 woman type of person. Yeah, she could fit all of that. But was she just a safe pick. A lot of chat over Gabriella Hawkes going number 5. Probably not a secret that Hawkes wasn't on anyone's radar at the beginning of last year's NCAA season. Exactly. Shout out to Brian. Again, it's not that I didn't even have her going top 10. I did not. 11, 12. Uh, she went before Kiki Rice. I that was not on my bingo card, but she's steadily improving. Brian says improved her game to being a near 50, 40, 90 player this season. Well, we know that's very difficult to achieve. Now we know that for a fact. Coach Close said that pro scouts raved that UCLA has an ultra physical mental development program that other major programs don't offer. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I'm glad you provided us with that. I didn't know that that was an attribute of them, their mental development. But again, I did talk about one of the quotes from Chloe Close. She said that post winning the finals, she was speaking with the analyst, and I think it was like Monica McNutt and somebody up there and somebody up there, but it was her and it was Lauren Betts. And she said that I told my team to start this season that talent was going to be the floor, right? That's gonna be the entry level. Okay. I expect everybody to be talented, but our character was going to be the ceiling. And your point underlines that. When you highlight the character and the morale and the collectiveness and the togetherness of the team, that's going to trump anything that you can do athletically on that court. When you can prevail and be resilient at the toughest times, doesn't matter how good you are. A lot of great people fold. Okay, so shout out to Coach Close. Shout out to UCLA. I mean, again, shout out to the Bruins fan base for doing what I didn't think they was gonna do and go ahead and cutting down them nets. Chicago, Rob says picking up Jackson was great for them. Now, come on, talk about it. Talk about it. Let me go to their roster real quick. Hold on. Because for as much as we didn't beat up the Chicago roster for the last, 2-3 years, really about ever since they won that championship with Candace Parker and Clea Copperdale, we've been in the ring with them, and we've been like Mike Tyson with a peon. And we've been Mike Tyson. They've been the peons, right? We have really been wailing on them about their decision making in that front office. And this year, for the first time since literally that Candace Parker year where they were stacked, right? They act like they knew what they were doing. And I said, oh wow, you're actually going to fill voids and fill in the holes of what you absolutely need right now today. Is this Chicago? Huh. Crazy. So let's talk about it. Hold on. Brian says, beyond that, all the players showed up on time, if not early. Neepkins, who joined the Bruins for her senior year, was surprised about the work ethic. Coaching matters. Coaching matters. Culture matters more, right? Culture matters more. Sidebar. There's a reason why the people were so disappointed in the behaviors and the actions of Gino post loss to South Carolina. Is because you are tarnishing the culture and the representation that you've set, the standard that you've set, not just for yourself, for the league. And when you respond out of emotion negatively like that, it looks away. That being said, Coach Corey Close, even in the worst moments, even in the moments last year where she didn't necessarily do what we thought she was going to do, and she's had disappointments since she's been at UCLA, it's character, is character, is character. That character dictates culture, and that culture is going to carry you through in those toughest times. All players regularly and voluntarily requested individual after practice workouts. Here's the thing: when you play for not just a great coach, but when you are in top of the notch facilities, why don't you want to work out? Why aren't you getting up? Here's the thing: I played in college as well. I'm not gonna name the college because it's not a college to be talked about. However, I played basketball in college as well. That being said, I stayed in the gym and wasn't nobody even checking for us. Nobody was checking for us. I stayed in the gym. I stayed in the gym. Why? First and foremost, that freshman 15 is a real thing. So if y'all new here, okay, if y'all young bucks, y'all ain't been to college, don't go crazy in the food in the cafeteria. Just don't. You heard it first here. Don't do that. But it's that it's the ambition to want to improve your game. Oh, I want to get sharper with my left hand. I want my left to be just as crisp, just as strong, just as dialed in as my right. There were certain drills that I never even thought about doing in high school, but the moment I got to college, I said, okay, I need to tighten up. I need to tighten up. I wanna be able to, you had your defensive drill. Defense was my thing. That's why I love people like Rory Harmon. Oh, love her. If I was a player right now, and she kind of like a little short. If I was a player like right now, I'd be like a Roy Harmon, except for my jumper would be way better than that. Respectfully, 3-point jumper would be way better than that. But as far as her attack, her approach to the game, right, and not just her, the consensus is that certain programs can incite you to be better, and then certain programs empower you to want to improve your own game. And obviously, UCLA was like that. Beyond talent, hold on. According to Malcolm Gladwell's, I'm sorry, it takes 10,000 of deliberate hours to become an expert. Malcolm Gladwell, he's a very smart guy, isn't he? Okay, we like him. He's a great writer, great thinker. Beyond talent, he's the reason why 6 Bruins were all drafted, and they have the work ethic to impact team culture. Absolutely. What we do know is that every last one of those players or will make an impact on their team right now. And actually, I can say that about everybody in the first round pick. First round, all of them ladies are going to make impacts on their teams right now. Let's go back to it. First of all, we already know 1, 2, 3, 4. Lauren Betts, Gabriella, yes, 5. Boom. Now we know Kiki Rice. Did they not need a point guard? Yes, they did. Ayana Martine. Yes, we know that. Flau'jae, yes. Angela, yes. Raven, yes. Cody, yes, 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 yes. Can we say yes? 10s across the board. We know they're all going to make impacts on their team right now, including Gabriella Hawkins. Let me get to this comment. Welcome to her core, her rules. Steady, ready, steady. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. You look like you might be new here. If you are, I gotta greet you how I greet you. Peace and freedom to you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. The baddies are in Chicago. Let me tell you something. Chicago, if they don't do nothing else, they're going to sell tickets this year. Let's look at it. Rachel Banham, she finally has some help, and she does not have to play out of position, have to play the point guard. She's not a point guard. She's a certified shooting guard. Absolutely. Okay. Camilla, come on, Camilla. What's up? What's up? What's up? Y'all was on my head. She's not a power forward. Why do you keep saying that? She's a center. She's a center. Okay, y'all. Y'all got it. She's a center. Boom. Dejanay. Energy. Life, does all the intangibles, plays great defense. Shout out to her. I know Koulibaly, but I don't know her first name. Anyway, shout out to her. Skylar, boom. What? Rakia, the dark skinned Barbie. You got Angel. Okay, one Barbie. You got Rakia. She's the other Barbie. Okay, and y'all know the tunnel walks with the outfits for this team. This team is going to win the tunnel walk. They ain't got nothing to do with playing basketball, but the tunnel walk, they're gonna win that. They got Azare Stevens. What? JC Sheldon. JC Sheldon is a sleeper on this team right now. Why is that? Because JC Sheldon was a player who was tasked at checking Caitlin Clark all those 4 years that Iowa was dominating, 5 years actually, was dominating the Big Ten. JC Sheldon had a personal beef with Caitlin Clark. That being said, she's a pest on defense. Love that about her. Latasha Lattimore, another great defender. And then we have Gabriella Hawkins. Now, this on when you look at the whole roster, obviously you still got Sloop, you still got Van Lith, Maddie Westbell, Elizabeth Williams, right? again, remember I kept saying that Elizabeth Williams is probably going to be the center, and y'all was like, no, 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 no. What that position say right there? Center, right? Right. Okay, y'all talk to me later. Um, that being said, now this roster, it looks it looks better, and it looks like Chicago was trying to do something to get them more wins than losses this year. Last 2 years, I thought they were definitely trying to lose more games. Y'all tell me if I'm lying, if I'm flying. This year they look like they definitely want to win more games, but it still ain't. I don't know how it's gonna bode. I don't know how the synergy. I just don't know how it's gonna go, but I think it will be fun to watch. I will say, them last 2 years they have not been fun to watch. It's been giving me nothing but stressors. Okay, so um. See, I love that y'all be showing love to each other in the chat. Okay, that's what we on. That's what we on. Basketball community here for sure. They know we here in the shy left AA. Okay. Um. So I think yo, I just clicked out of my own stream. That's crazy. So I think Chicago is going to be okay, right? I just don't know how many wins are y'all projecting for Chicago this year? Y'all put it in the chat. Are we looking at um it's 44 games? Are we looking at a 25 win team, this year? What really are we looking at this year? Y'all tell me. Y'all tell me. Passing through says Hawkeyes has the potential to be a third option on a championship team, but likely will be a fourth or fifth option. Sky should have swung for upside, but representation mattered. They wanted some snow. Listen, Gabs is ready right now. Sonya type player. That's what I say. I definitely compare her to Asanya Citron. The same archetype, right? The same archetype. She's a player that you don't necessarily have to run sets for, but she'll find a way to score 18 points a game. She could find a way to average 16 points her rookie year for sure, right? Just from cuts, just from her movement, just from her constant attack to the basket and attack to the empty spots in the floor. The moment you turn your head, she's gone. The moment you try to lag off and help, she's moving. The moment you don't box her out, she's crashing the basket. If nothing else proved that, okay, this tournament time definitely did. Definitely did. So we got some thoughts in the house. How many games do we think Chicago will win this season? They are 20, 23, 16 to 18 wins, 23 to 25. So is it safe? I would say high end, low end 18, high end 25. Between 18 and 25, I don't think that's a broad range, but I think it's a fair range. Because it's everything is new here. Who you're bringing back. Sloot really didn't play last season, you know what I'm saying, injured early in the season. Van Liff, she didn't get no tick that much. Maddie was in and out of the rotation due to injury, and then just, towards the end of the season she was starting to get a little bit more rotation, but not anything significant to make, real headway. So, Elizabeth Williams, she was there last year. Obviously, Camilla was there last year. But we can just roll the dice. This is a brand new team. That being said, how are they going to make this brand new team work? I think it starts off by maximizing what you drafted. If you don't go and get Flau'jae, then you have to make sure that Hawkeyes is highlighted on this team. We know Rakia, right? I don't want Skylar to start to become, one of those point guards that is now all of a sudden ball hogging, and no, still focused on getting the others involved. And first and foremost, you have to lean into your draft pick. similar to DC last year. Just lean into your draft pick. You know how much Atlanta relied on Tahina Pow when and Jordan Canada was not available. Lean into your rookie draft pick. If you lean into her, highlight her, empower her, provide her confidence, make her understand that, yeah, this ain't college, but yes, you have the game that translate very well to the WNBA. Why? Her senior year, she averaged 13 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 54% from the field, nearly 40% from the three, and nearly 85, or did she shot 85% from the free throw line. She also gave the team a little over 1 steal a game. That doesn't even count deflections. That doesn't count hustle plays, tie ups. That doesn't count any of that. She's a high IQ, versatile system player who's consistent on both offense and defense, and energy. Energy. We can underline, capitalize, italicize the word energy when we talk about um Gabriella Hawkins being drafted at number 5. I think it works. Um, I'm excited for her, absolutely, and I'm excited to see what they do to bring all these pieces together. Again, we still have Tyler Marsh here as a coach, so I'm not that hopeful. I'm not that optimistic about what how many wins they could get, because Tyler Marsh's did so much buffoonery stuff last season that 20 wins, like Miss D say, is probably fair, right? And they're gonna get that off the muscle, off of sheer uh talent, off of sheer talent. I don't think. Now, I would love to be wrong to say that Tyler Marsh is some type of coaching savant that can take all these new pieces and put them together, but I ain't seen that yet. Study says Mama Skylar will have an all-star play again this year. When Skylar goes to a team, she knows the game. She will push everyone. She isn't snooty, much better. And Rakia will be an all-star. Book it. I underline that. All-star, 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 all-star. Rakia will definitely be an all-star. Again, what did I say before? I said that as much as we may not like that Rakia is no longer with the Sparks, I don't think she was ever going to thrive the way she should have thrived with the Sparks. Why? Just one name, Cameron Brink. Right? I feel like it was always going to be an unspoken comparison between the two when they should not be compared at all. I thought she was going to, by way of committee, by way of popularity, by way of the fan base, going to take a back seat to a Cameron Brink. That being said, I think this is a perfect opportunity for Rakia Jackson to definitely show the world all of her bag, and boy, is her bag deep. I think that Skylar, her being that inner dog, and when she started to salivate, when she started to, I think that motor, that drive can not only spark something in the other dog in Rakia. That's why I thought about Flau'jae. I'm like, oh, you just put all these dogs on the same team? Whoa, what's happening here? Okay. So again, shout out to the Midwest, because y'all know I'm from Cleveland. Shout out to the Midwest. You know what I'm saying? Detroit, stand up. Detroit is my favorite city outside of my own. Detroit is my favorite city. I love Detroit. I used to go to Detroit all the time. I love the Hart Plaza. I love Detroit African American museum. I used to go there for the festivals. I mean, I love Detroit. The food is always great. The love is always great. People, whether they know you or not, you pull up somewhere, they show you a good time. It's always love. She's bringing that love to Chicago. Okay. It's gonna be a good time in Chicago. Again, even if they have a losing season, it's going to be fun to watch. That being said, let's kind of go into this a little bit. Not to compare the two players, but of course we got to put them head to head, because we got to see if Chicago draft is safe, right? So let's talk about safety versus ceiling. Safety versus ceiling. Flau'jae, she has a higher ceiling to me in the Seattle organization. I think it's a lot less pressure. I think they are completely starting over. and they are going to be focusing on her as the star, right? So she has star potential. She's physical. She's explosive. She's exactly what they need to push that ceiling, right, and break through that ceiling, right? So I think that her in that franchise has a bigger leap, right? She has more to grow there. On the other side, Hawkes, right? I'm calling her SAK. Ask me what that is, Naj. She's a Swiss Army knife. What can't Hawkes do at her position? She can do everything at her position. She can do everything in her position. She's smart and she's a connector. I think that is I think she was a safe draft pick, but not because that's not a slight to her, nor is that a slight to Chicago. I think that Chicago is just at the point now where they have taken some risks, um, and they kind of want to put their guns up, right? They want to spend their money where they know the outcome of it. That's why they're spending it on the free agents, Skylar, Azare, Rakia, right? They spending their money on those people. They're going to draft a little bit smarter, a little bit safer, a person who has what you need right now, not a person who can grow into what you want them to become. You hear me? See, Angel Reese had some growing to do in her game and still does. But where they were as a franchise when they drafted Angel Reese, they wanted to win right now, but you can't win right now when your number one draft pick isn't really a complete player yet, right? One of your top draft picks is not really that complete yet. She is great in certain areas and terrible in others. Whereas Hawkes, a Swiss Army knife, is pretty darn good in everything that she does. Plus, they got, like Steady says, plus they got Dejanay coming off an injury. Jeff, the Pink Panther seat is fire. They got Dejanay, and we know that Dejanay has had to prove herself since the moment she's entered the WNBA. Talk about a player who's gotten better. Her jumper was broke when she first got it. Broke, right? I still don't trust her that much from the three, but one thing I will trust her with is not taking that three, pump fake and put that ball on the ground and getting to the basket, getting to the free throw line, blocking shots, whether it's with her hand or her fingernail. She's going for it. Listen, Dejanay is going for it as Caitlin. She got popped with a couple little Dejanay fingernails, okay? Sips tea. Sips tea. So, overall, I think that, again, what both franchises are doing, right, to regroup, right, to redefine and also reset the culture from Seattle to Chicago. They both had not good perceptions of their culture, bad connotation. We talk about culture in Seattle, we talk about Chicago culture. And I think this season, with draft picks, with acquisitions off season, right? Seattle got Natisha Heideman. They trying to do some work over there. Chicago, again, they're trying to do some work over there. I think first and foremost, it's the culture that sets the tone. And until you lock down what this team means to one another, winning don't matter. Passing through says Hawkes is mainly an off-ball connective type of player. Hard to be a superstar when you aren't a primary ball handler or high usage as a guard or wing. She will be a good player though. And so that shows me that they're going to be running that offense, right? Through obviously Skylar Diggins and Rakia Jackson. Now, again, I think a lot of people they sleep on Rakia. Rakia got game. We need to make a movie. She got game, right? And I think she's going to play more of the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if Rakia Jackson become a big shooting guard at some point. Because when she was in college, she was power forward center. She moved to the WNBA. She's a small forward. She's doing everything. She's a 3-level scorer. What if her game is continuing to evolve where her ball handling skills is now matching her scoring skills? And that's usually the big disconnect when you go from, being a big man, mostly in college, to now evolving your game where you playing, small forward, still playing big. Sometimes when you got to play defense, you can still guard 3 to 4 positions depending on the matchup. For sure, 3 positions. Rakia Jackson can guard a shooting guard, a small forward, and a power forward, depending on that matchup for sure. So then when you add that and package that with better ball handling, how great, what really is her ceiling? Does Rakia Jackson even have a ceiling at this point? Okay. So when you have Skylar and you have Rakia, somebody like Hawkins, like you saying, who mainly plays off ball, can slide right on in there. And then Camilla gonna eat up a lot of usage as well, because Camilla can score, she can create her own shot too. Sometimes we seen with Chicago, they just dump the ball to Camilla and say, figure it out, dog. I don't know. Tyler Marsh says, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't have a play to call. Camilla, help us. Now, you go listen, Skylar gonna be like, don't worry about it. Let me set it up. Huh? Come on. Huh? Fist. 5. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's gonna be fun, man. If nothing else, whether they win 20 games or 30 games, they're gonna have us on the edge of RC, and it will be a good basketball to watch. Last year was messy. Why? Because Angel was playing out of position. She want to be a point forward. We know that. We love that ambition about her, and we love the fact that she stepped up to the plate and put her team on her back. But she ain't no point forward yet. Master the forward part, and then add on the point part. Now they got absolutely good guards, right? They plays in their position, and Hake is gonna merge right on there. Like you on the highway, you just gonna merge right on in there, hit 65 and go. Steady says you're doing good. Sister Rakia is a movie, and Camilla will have that push from Mama Skylar. Absolutely. See, when you put that dog in Camilla, that's the thing that separates Camilla from Angel, right? That sometimes you got to push Camilla to like, go take. You see who checking you? Get that slight word, barbecue chicken. Go. This year, I think that with Skylar and Rakia, right? And also money is a motivator. When the girls get starting to get paid a little bit more bounce to the ounce. So when you have all these things like lining up in your favor, and you actually have a point guard, whether Tyler Marsh is going to be a bozo or not on the sideline, you got Skylar Diggins. One thing we will say, and you can mark it here, you heard it here first, we're going to see Skylar cuss out Tyler Marsh before the end of this season, for sure. We're going to see her snatch that clipboard out of his hand before the end of the season, for sure. Because one thing about Skylar, she ain't going for nothing. While y'all here, make sure y'all hit that like, hit that subscribe, man. Get into the chat, man. I appreciate y'all. If you are new here, peace and freedom. You feel me? That's how I greet y'all again. Peace and freedom. If you a veteran here, man, again, I appreciate y'all for pulling up to every last live. If you hit that subscribe and turn that bell on, you'll never miss a live. We go live every Monday and Friday at 6 p.m. I start your week with great basketball talk, and I'm gonna end your week with great basketball talk, so y'all can have a blessed weekend. Here we go. Chat. Chicago has a lot of potential, hoping it comes together on the floor. And that's the big unknown, right? It has to mesh, and it has to, like, there has to be some type of synergy. That's where you're hoping that your veteran leadership and your point guard is going to bring that together. But again, there were rumors that maybe, Skylar was the one that was, stirring the pot in Seattle. Again, I wasn't in the locker room. I don't know. I don't be liking to push the bad narrative. What I will say is this: Skylar is a dog, and she is a person that can say, hey, okay, she can check you. She can get you right. Now, some people don't like that type of leadership, right? I'm Team Kobe. He my GOAT. He the GOAT. It is what it is. Argue with somebody else. That's the GOAT. Mamba forever. But that's my mentality. You might not like how I am pushing you, but I'm only doing it for the betterment of you, and for real, for the betterment of this team, baby. Aren't I on this team? Don't you want to win? If you're doing something that is not lean or pushing us into the winning column, if you're doing things that's holding us back, having us regress, having me look at myself in the mirror and question, do I even want to be with these bozos? I'm gonna have to check you. I'm gonna have to call you out on that. I want to see Rakia get 16 shots a game. Gotta be aggressive. Gotta be 4 and 5 in the post, 6 and 7 in the mid range, and the rest from 3. About 6 free throw attempts. Again, Rakia in the mid range is cold. She got the fadeaway. She got the one leg. She got the half turn. Okay, she was a big first, so she can take advantage of mismatches. She can take advantage of size because she is still long. She is athletic. Just what you said. Grab your shirt. Exactly what you said. I agree. Lattimore defense would translate the real steal of the draft. Yes, it is. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. She had phenomenal defense at Ole Miss, right? Ain't that where she from? Yeah, phenomenal defense at Ole Miss. She's 6'4". And then these players are going to be learning from some of the better defenders and two-way players, and like Azare Stevens. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think I don't they're going to lose games, but they're not going to lose when it comes to fans, when it comes to excitement, when it comes to improving upon just being great, something that they just didn't resemble in the last 2 years. Skylar don't give a Mamba mentality for sure, absolutely. And then who don't love a person who's saying, man, competition? Who? Where? But I go in GM's office right now and grab him up. You gotta love that. I'm just worried about who Dallas has for their strength and conditioning, because UConn has Andrea Huddy, who is one of the best, and she has been able to keep AZ healthy, and I need Dallas to do the same. See, here's the thing about Dallas. Health is going to be key. And now that you have 2 number 1 draft picks back to back, teamed up, reunited, and it feels so good, expectations are going to be high. You re-signed Enrique. I don't think that was a good move. I don't think Enrique and Paige plays well together. Didn't we see that last year? Wasn't last year Enrique's worst season of her career? I don't think that's going to work. What happens when Enrique gets benched in the game for AZ Fudd? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. What happens? What happens to her morale? Does she go back into ball hogging? Does she go back into throwing up a bunch of dumb shots? Does she go back into bricking a bunch? What happens? And now you didn't pay. Now you paying her out the wazoo. Be on the lookout for a Enrique mid-season trade. Be on the lookout. And if it is a mid-season trade with Enrique, be on the lookout of her getting traded to Minnesota. Minnesota needs some scoring. They need a little bit. They Courtney Williams, they need a little bit. They need a little bit. And be on the lookout for, and that's why I'm saying Minnesota, because she will want to be on a championship contender team. So they will be the team that I would look out for. I know AZ works with Steph Curry's team too, so hopefully everything works out. Yeah, she does work with Steph. Steph is not with Under Armour anymore. So I know that was the connection to them two, but they've been working out for a long time. So I think it'll be interesting. Dallas is still going to be a losing team. I think they still might be second or third worst team in the league. It just is what it is. I don't foresee them winning a ton of games. Matter of fact, y'all tell me in the chat, how many games y'all think Dallas gonna win this year? Let me see how many games they win last year. They were the second to worst team in the league. Dallas Wings schedule 2025 standings. I mean, Dallas Wings. Why is they showing me 2020? I said 2025. Google, dang. Dallas Wings was the worst team in the league. I thought it was Sky, but they had the same exact record. They were the worst in the West. Sky was the worst in the East. Last year they won 10 games. This year I don't put them 15 games maybe. I think 15 games. Now they were hit with some injuries. They did lose Lee Rue, but they didn't even start the season with Lee Rue. They did lose JJ Quinterly, but you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So I got the Wings maybe picking up 5 extra wins this year. 15, 17. You know what I mean? So I'm not that excited for them this year. I just think, I think it's going to be interesting to watch, but I'm not that, gassed up. That being said, a team that we do need to look out for is the Valkyries. The Valkyries, obviously, why they moved on up, right? They were playing the long game. They're playing the asset management game. They're playing the system game. The Valkyries, talk about system. They're all about system and identity and culture. What they did wasn't about today, whether Marta Suarez can come in and contribute at a high level today or not. And I think she will be able to contribute a great deal, okay, on both ends of the floor. But this was about culture, and they wanted somebody that be able to fit that system, fit that identity from now until dot, 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 right? Till infinity and beyond. Okay. So that being said, I can't be mad at it. It did have me scratching my head. As far as what is Chicago doing? Why wouldn't they draft Flaw? Seattle, we traded. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? But ultimately, it's about the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is that there are three different teams on three different timelines with three different identities, and they have three different missions going into this draft. Now, Rob said, okay, I think Dallas might secure 19 wins this year. So you got them a +9 this year than last year. Last year they secured 10 wins. This year 19 wins. Let me go back to this. Hold on. So this was last year. If Dallas does indeed 19 wins, okay, 19 wins in the West will still have them more than likely the worst team in the West. Now, I think the Sparks are going to finish their season right around the same. They got NECA, so they might be a 25 to 27 win team because of NECA. But if they were a 24 win team, I wouldn't be surprised if they were still trying to be in like that the NBA play in where they are, the last 3 games of the season really matters for them. Because if they don't win them all, they won't make the playoffs, similar to last year. That being said, I think the Wings are still going to be the worst team in the West. And if not the Wings, it's going to be between the Wings and the Storm, the two worst teams in the West. So by default, I think that the Valkyries, them making the playoffs last year, 23 wins without having Kayla Thornton because she had that early injury, season-ending injury at that. I think the Valkyries move up into this 27 win column ish, right? Aces got off to a horrible start last year, right? But finished off 17-0. What? Where they do that at? Vegas. That's where they do that at. That being said, I think Aces are going to be the number one team in the West with 35 plus wins this year. Minnesota is probably going to regress to maybe the fourth or fifth best team, but I wouldn't be surprised if Valkyries finish this season with a better record than Minnesota. That would not surprise me. So let's rank it. I will have Aces, Mercury, probably Valkyries, Minnesota, and maybe Minnesota and Golden State has like a tiebreaker, finish. So it will be in this order: Aces, Mercury, 3 and 4, Minnesota or Valkyries, whichever one, and then obviously Sparks, Storm, Dallas. That's how I got it. Under Armour was not their connection. AZ signed to Steph Curry 30 brand. She was never signed to UA. AZ is signed to Jordan. That's her first shoe brand. Steph was her only connection to UA, and that's over. Okay, well, thanks for that clarity. I did see the Jordan post, so that is good. Much better that she signed to Jordan than not, because Under Armour is tanking incredibly. So yeah, I mean, she looked good in the Jordan brand. Not gonna hold you. I'm not gonna hold you. So yeah, I don't foresee much changing at this bottom tier of the West. I think it will still be the Wings, unfortunately, and I think the Sparks the Sparks are probably Storm. So Wings, Storm, Sparks, right? Aces at the top, Mercury second best team, and then Lynx and the Valkyries. And I would edge the Valkyries over the Minnesota Lynx this year. For me, I would. And even though they got feet, I'm still edging the Lynx over. Then when you look at the East, And then again, this is not including the expansion team. So I'm just gonna leave them off the chart right now because I don't have any expectations for the expansion teams. If they come and shock the world, they come and shock the world. That being said, for the East, um, Atlanta led the league last year, led the East last year in wins. I think that probably is going to go to the Fever this year, assuming everybody stays healthy. Again, so I will have probably the Fever maybe number one, maybe Atlanta Dream two, Liberty three, then Mystics, Sky Sun. The Sun will definitely be the worst team in the East for sure. I don't know what they're doing as a franchise. I think they just buying their time or bidding their time before they go and getting shipped off to Houston. So y'all let me know what y'all think. I think Portland will be at the near bottom in the West. Yeah. That's why I'm not putting the expansion teams in this conversation yet. I can switch to 2026 and then we can look at all the teams, but I think that yeah, the expansion teams will both be at the bottom of their conference respectfully. Um, Now, between the two expansion teams, I think Toronto has a better chance of being a better team than Portland this year. But when you look at Toronto in the competition they're going up against over here in the East, the only terrible team right now is Connecticut. That being said, I mean the Mystics are going to be much more improved. Sky is much more improved. They should up their wins by at least 10 to 15. Hopefully, um, Atlanta Dream is going to be better, going to improve, and obviously the Liberty is re-signed a big three, added some more pieces. So I think that those teams are going to be good. So at the end of the day, when the conversation comes down to the bigger picture, and this is what it means between these three teams: Seattle, Chicago, Valkyries. Again, three different teams, three different identities. Seattle identity, their culture is starting to reshape, and they're starting to lock that in. Chicago, their direction for me is unclear as far as are they trying to be a win now team? Are they constructing a roster that they think can be competitive to get into the playoffs? If not, be an upset team in the playoffs. I don't know. It's a couple question marks on that. And the Valkyries, I think that they are setting the tone and they're absolutely on their own time when it comes to building the team and building the culture and creating an understanding with what they want to accomplish. I think they are completely on a different paradigm, but I think what they're doing is setting the tone for future expansion teams. Whereas you kind of see the other expansion teams, especially Portland, kind of following the same shoes. Like we're international or or bust. We ain't fooling with y'all Americans. We going overseas and we getting ours. Okay, so you know again the draft pick from Chicago drafting Gabriella, the trade with the Valkyries and Seattle. I mean, it showed us everything we needed to know about what these teams are trying to solidify when it comes to their identity. And identities can sometimes be misconstrued. Sometimes we can misinterpret what their identities are. However, I think it's pretty clear that again, these are three different teams on three different timelines with three completely different philosophies regarding how they define basketball, how they define culture, and how they define winning. Um, so you know, again, I think it's going to be interesting. This is going to be the most exciting WNBA season I have been a part of. Why? Because this has been the most exciting draft process that I've been a part of. Last year's draft was not this year's draft. Okay, we kind of knew everything about last year's draft. This year's draft, from round one to round three, was very engaging, exciting, and had us all on our toes. Okay, again, it's your girl Najee. I appreciate y'all for pulling up. If you new here, hit that like, hit that subscribe, man. Get into the comment section. Always pull up to the live chat where your voice will always be heard. Your opinions are always welcome. Again, I appreciate y'all. This is episode 82 of Her Court, Her Rules. We rocking all season long WNBA Mondays and Fridays at 6 p.m. Y'all know the vibes. Y'all know the time. We on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So if you like the content, if you like the energy, if you like the love in the chat, this is your place to be. If you love women's basketball, I'm trying to tell you, this the realest place where basketball is being discussed. So show up Mondays and Fridays at 6 p.m. Again, always valid, always welcome. And I'm always happy to see y'all, man. Y'all know the vibes. Y'all know what time it is. I'm going to see y'all on Monday. Peace and freedom. It's your girl, Najee.